Good morning. This is Katherine Spencer from Spencer and Keene Fine Jewelry Studio. How's everybody doing this morning? I hope you're doing well. I am back from a nice little vacation. So not only did we have 4th of July, but I kind of went on a little vacation and that was kind of nice. So the last time we were on, you could watch Yoni talk about all sorts of different things like online shopping and the dangers that can revolve around online shopping when you think you're getting something and you're not quite getting what you think you're getting. Anyway, so today I'm very excited to be back in the studio, and we'll be starting in just a moment talking about our custom design process and how we design with customers using their gold and customizing a design to suit what they need. So hello again, hello to Instagram, hello to Facebook, hello to Twitter, and hello to Kik. Good to see everybody, and I hope you enjoy today's episode talking about custom design, working with people to use their own gold to create customizable pieces of jewelry to suit exactly what they're looking for. Hello. It's Katherine Spencer at Spencer and Keene Fine Jewelry Studio. Hello, Facebook. Hello, Instagram. Hello, people on Twitter. And hello, people on Kik. Today, I'm going to be talking about our custom design process a little bit, kind of how we work with people to create exactly what they are looking for. Sometimes it's hard to find the exact thing that you want. And what we focus on at Spencer and Keene is creating true bespoke pieces of jewelry in the full range of price. Some people have the misconception that bespoke jewelry has to be super expensive, that it's only for movie stars, it's only for people who can spend thousands upon thousands of dollars to create exactly what they want. The whole premise of Spencer and Keene is founded on one-of-a-kind pieces. And we make one-of-a-kind pieces from $100 and up. And so we want to fit your budget, and we want to be able to fit what you're looking to create. And one of the hardest things for most jewelers to do is to figure out what people are actually looking to make. That is my specialty. My specialty, or my superpower, if you will, is being able to talk to people and pull out of their brain, out of their subconscious psyche, the design that they want to create. Sometimes they don't even know what they want to create until we start drawing, or I start asking them, all sorts of questions. And I think this started in my art teaching days. So I used to teach art, kindergarten through 12th grade. I just joke that I'm on sabbatical. Anyway, of course, when you're teaching art, part of the process is getting students to be creative on their own. So part of it is, here's your assignment. We're going to learn about analogous colors. But also part of art is being creative and thinking on your own, and how to get those thoughts out of your head and onto a piece of paper or into a piece of clay or whatever. That's the hard part. So when I work with clients, when I work with customers, I'm always asking loads and loads of questions. Do you like this style? Do you like how this looks? How do you feel about this particular look? Is that what you want? And so, sometimes I can talk with people face to face and I can ask all of those questions, but sometimes it's easiest for people to do their research online. And so there's a couple different ways that you can do that. One way is by just browsing, for example, Pinterest. So if you go to Pinterest, you can look and type in family pendants, since that's what we're going to be making today. You could go to Pinterest, you could, just type in family pendant, and you'll get back all sorts of different designs of family jewelry. And you can look through, and I advise clients to pick their top 3. Pick 3. Here's this one that I really like, and here's why. Here's this one that I really like, and why. And here's a third one that I really like, and here's why. And then we can kind of take those elements that they really like and combine them into a new piece. Another way to do it is that, if you're not person to person with me, is through our website. It can give you some different ideas, okay, on our website for customizing pieces of jewelry that already exist. And you can customize them through our website, but if you also pick designs that you like on our website, then you can bring those designs to us and we can either customize them, or in the case of what I'm going to be making today, we can use your own gold to make something that you've already found. So I just wanted to kind of walk you through a little bit of how you can do that. Okay, and so on our website, under the design tab, on our main page, you can either start a design or you can ask a designer. But eventually we want to go to where you can come to customizing a design. Okay, so this is talking a little bit about our process here, asking a designer, choosing a designer, browsing designs. Here's where you can learn about recycling your own gold, okay, and starting a design. It's a little bit about me and John, okay, and at the, you can also fill out, if you kind of know what you're looking for, at the bottom of this page, you can fill out a form that tells us exactly what you're looking for, okay, but if you need a little bit of inspiration, then we have a link that goes to, it's sk-fjs.jewelershowcase.com. Okay, and this is where it brings you to, is Spencer and Keem Fine Jewelry Studio, and these are all customizable pieces of jewelry. So we've got rings and pendants and all sorts of things. Under the jewelry tab, since we're talking about family jewelry today, we can go find family jewelry under jewelry. And when you click on it, it brings you to all sorts of different options of ways that you can add gemstones that represent your children or your family, however you want to make your piece of family jewelry. It has all of these are customizable for different numbers of stones and different placement of stones, and you can fill it in with the type of stones that you're looking for and see exactly what the colors look like together. You can figure out the order that you want to put them in. Maybe you don't want to put two colors next to each other that don't look good, or maybe you just want to put them in order. Okay. So that is how you can pick some customizable designs. So in our case, we had a client come to us. He had checked out our website and he picked a design that I will show you this. It looks like this. Okay. And we've got a nice little squiggle pendant, and there's going to be 4 gemstones on it. And so he came in and he said, I found this on your website. I really like it, but I have a bit of a deadline. And we said, oh, okay, well, instead of ordering it, we can make it for you. And so we started the design process. So we sat down with him, and, we said, was there anything about that design that you wanted to change? Nope, he's good. He likes that design. We've got 4 gemstones. So we talked about the gemstones, and we wrote down that we need a natural sapphire. We need a natural aquamarine. We need a natural peridot and a natural green tourmaline. This is one of the things that hooks back into what Yoni was talking about last week about kind of the buyer beware. One of the things that we can do in customizing pieces is you have lots of different options when it comes to, for example, your gemstones. This customer wanted all natural gemstones. So when we source the gemstones or when we use what we have, we make sure that we're only using natural, genuine gemstones. Another option would be a lab-created gemstone. Or a lot of times when people are making family jewelry, they use imitation stones. And so they're the correct color that you're looking for, but they're just basically a piece of glass or a colored cubic zirconia. That is the correct color for the month. For example, July. July is a ruby. And so a imitation stone might just be pink, but it's not a ruby. And it's not a lab created ruby, which is still a ruby, chemically speaking. And it's not a natural ruby, which is dug out of the ground. It's just a pink faceted thing. So anyway, we drew out the design, we figured out the size of his gemstones, and then he said, you know what, I've got some gold. Can we use that gold to make the pendant? And we said, yes, that should be just enough gold to make the pendant that you want. So he has provided this ring for us to use. And so part of the process is also taking that ring and weighing the amount of gold that he has, because sometimes there is extra gold left over. And so we take the gold, we weigh the gold, and after we weigh it, there we go. After we weigh it, we write down all of the information of what we need to know. So I've got 1.68 grams of 14 karat. Oh, thanks, Janet. So 1.68 grams of 14 karat, and in this case, that we'll need all of that to make the pendant. If there were any left over at the end, what we do is we just keep the little scraps. Like, let's say we have this teeny tiny little scrap left over. It's still a piece of gold. And so, hello, I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. We would use that extra piece of gold as trade-in and deduct it off of the price of the finished pendant. Okay, but in this case, we're probably going to use everything. So I've got all of my pieces and parts. I've shown you how we draw with our customer. We kind of show a front view and side view. talked a little bit about what we do with using the customer's gold. So now I'm going to start making a pendant, if that's okay with everybody. Is that okay with you? Should I make a pendant now? Okay, I'm going to make a pendant. So I'm going to be melting the gold. That's step one. And then I am going to go over to our rolling mill and I'm going to roll the gold into a flat sheet so that I can bend it into our nice little wavy design, because that's what we have. We have a nice little wavy design. After I bend it into the nice little wavy design, yes, I am a goldsmith. Hello. After I bend it into the nice wavy design, then I am going to be attaching on some settings. I have these little tiny settings for the side of the pendant and the bottom of the pendant. So I'm going to do some soldering. And then after that, I am going to hopefully set a sapphire, an aquamarine, a peridot, and a green tourmaline. Yeah, that's the plan. All right. So are there any questions before I begin? Besides, am I a goldsmith? Because I am. I am a goldsmith. That's why my hands are dirty, because I was already working this morning. So, oh, and these glasses are not just a fashion choice. They are also my safety glasses, which, you know, I wear when I need to be safe. But they are also pretty. So, yeah. All right. Well, if there are no other questions at the moment, I'm going to get started on what I'm doing over here and my setup over here. So you can follow me over this direction. All right. So I've got my crucible. I have my ingot maker, and I have my piece of gold here. Oh, where am I? There we are. Okay. Got my piece of gold. All right. So that is going to be going into my little melting crucible over here. This is just some flux to keep my metal clean. Not that I have to worry too much about that in this case, because my metal is just a simple band ring. All right, let's see what we got, or if we have to add any more, because sometimes we have to add a little bit to what customers have. So let's see what we have. We've got this little tiny piece, okay, but this little tiny piece is pretty thick. This little piece is 4 millimeters thick, and he's making a pendant that is only 1 millimeter thick. All right. So I'm going to shave this down a little bit. And we'll move these pieces out of the way. All right, so next I'm just filing down the little edges. Okay. Just to make it kind of smooth. And then I'm going to head over to the rolling mill. So if you'd like to follow me, that's where I'm going. rolling out, and we've got all these different pieces, places in here that will make the metal smaller. All right, so I've already doubled my length of gold. Okay, I'm going to continue on making that a little smaller. Now I am 4 times the length of what I had. All right, and then I'm going to flatten this out. Okay, go a little bit more. And then I'll measure it. I've got 1.6 millimeters by 2.3 millimeters. I'm going to make it a little thinner. All right, I've got 1.4 millimeters by 2.5. Okay, so that should be about right. Okay, so I've got the 2 different dimensions here. I've got a thin side and a thick side. All right, I'm gonna go back over and we're gonna continue over at the other bench. All right, so I've rolled the metal. I've gotten it generally to the dimensions that I want to make the pendant, but now the metal is pretty hard and stiff. I'm going to anneal it. So I'm going to use a flame that's a little bit bigger of a flame. And I'm just going to go back and forth across my metal and anneal it. This makes the metal softer for me to be able to use. Okay, next I'm going to put it into my pickle pot. My pickle pot is a chemical called sodium bisulfate. Okay, and it helps clean off any of the oxidation that occurs on the metal, and it helps clean it up. So it also, in this case, will cool it off. And hopefully I don't get any pickle on my computer, because if I get pickle on my computer, it's acid. And they'll probably eat a key off. Okay. All right, so we've got a bar here, and I've got a total of 35 millimeters long. Okay, now the pendant that the customer chose in the website where he chose it, it was marked as 29 millimeters long. So I can keep it that long. I can also make it a tiny bit longer so that I make sure to use all of his gold. It's not that long of a pendant. Okay, if I compare it to, say, what I'm wearing right now, it's actually almost the same length as what I'm wearing right now. So, you know, I mean, I could keep it that long. I could shorten it up a little bit. Maybe I'll just make it a tiny bit shorter. Okay, it's going to end up shorter anyway because I have to file it and sand it and do all of the other things to it to make it finished. Oh, and I think I had a question about how is my camera automatically switching? I have a whole crew of people who are helping me. So it's not automatically switching. I've got Charlotte over here and she's helping me. And I have another behind the scenes lady helping me out. So yes, it is not magic. It is just people helping out. So thank you to all of those people who are helping out. Because otherwise, you guys would not be able to see everything that I am doing. Because believe it or not, I don't sit in this chair all day. I mean, sometimes I do. Okay, anyway, so back to our design. What I do very often when I have a drawing is I draw the drawing to size, meaning that the exact size of what I draw is what it should generally turn out to be. So I've got my drawing down here in my book, okay, and I've got my piece of gold, okay, and there we go. I've got my width, okay, I've got my length. I still need to add little wiggles to it, okay, so that's the next part. I'm going to add those little wiggles. So right now I'm using, this is just, it's a ring bending tool, but it can be used to bend metal that is not being made into a ring also. It doesn't just have to be for rings. Okay, and so that was this tool. And it's got these fun little mouth jaws. Okay. And let's see here. You kind of have to switch back and forth with these half round pliers to get the shape that I want. Okay, which I can always compare with the shape that I've drawn. Okay, and then I can decide if I want to bend things a little bit more or a little bit less. All right. So if I compare that to my drawing, now I've got my squiggle. So I've got my squiggle, I've got my length. All right. And we'll put that aside. Thanks. Yeah, it is pretty cool. All right. Now I'm also going to make sure that this is flat. So I'm going to make sure by hammering it flat. All right. So Next up, I'm just going to clean my metal up a little bit, because when you go to solder, you want to make sure that your metal is nice and clean. If it's not clean, then you do not get a good bond with the solder. Since I've got a nice flat top and bottom, I'm actually going to use a piece of sandpaper and a sanding stick to make that nice and flat. So this is a sanding stick. It has 1,000 grit sandpaper on it, and so it's a pretty fine grit of sandpaper. You know, the metal doesn't have any gouges on it or big scratches on it because it's been freshly poured and rolled, and so it shouldn't have any major problems with it. All right. After that, I'm going to have to decide which is the top and which is the bottom. Which this is a total aesthetic choice that just has to do with me being a nitpicky artist and nothing more. Because I'm pretty sure that the squiggle is the same from top to bottom, but you know, that's okay. Okay, I'm going to decide that this is the top. Arbitrarily, for no reason at all. Actually, there is a reason. This top area is ever so slightly, it looks a tiny bit wider to me, and so there's like this teeny tiny taper from top to bottom. So I'm going to pretend that that's the top. So to make this into a pendant slide, then I need to add a hole in the top here. I can never figure out where my camera is here. I think my camera, is it right there? Is it over here? Okay, here. No, right there. Okay, right there. I know, it's awful. I can't see anything. Okay. Anyway, I'm going to put the hole at the top of the pendant. different burr to help me bring that hole down. So the hole on the top of the pendant is now large enough to be able to get the end of a chain through it. Let's see if I have a little piece of chain. I mean, it definitely fits a chain, but the thing you want to make sure of with a slide is just that you can fit the end jump ring through it also. So that's important. Gonna make that teeny bit larger. A little hole now. There we go. Got the hole in the pendant. Okay, so the next part of this pendant is adding gemstones. Okay, so I kind of shown you at the beginning of the video that I have these little settings. Okay, and so we're going to be adding these little settings to the bottom of the pendant and the sides. So we'll check back with our design and let's make sure that we're putting them in the right places. So we've got one at the bottom and then inside of each one of the bends. All right, so to make sure that these are going to fit, we're going to make sure that it's going to fit the contour of what we have. So the bottom of the pendant is flat. We're going to make sure that the bottom of our setting is nice and flat. Let's make sure that the bottom of this setting is also nice and flat. It'll make it a lot easier for soldering. All right. So that guy's going on the bottom. Number 2. In this case, the contour of one of those is curved, so I'm going to kind of leave the curvature of the setting itself. third one. Third one. Okay, and now the last one, unfortunately, where we get some of our parts from, they have sent me a setting that is smaller than what I ordered. And so even though it was in the same order, they sent me one that is too small. So I'm not going to use that one because, you know, as people should be doing, there should be a quality check when it comes to, you know, making sure that we're making the right design. So in this case, you know, okay, I've got this part and it's the wrong size. Okay, if I measure it, instead of for a 3mm stone, this one looks like, well, actually, let's measure these ones. What are these ones for? These ones. So actually what it looks like they did is they sent me 3 wrong ones and 1 right one. Because these are measuring for 3.5mm stones. And then there is one, this one, which is for a 3mm stone. So we've got a couple different choices here. We can, and let's see what our stones look like in these settings. Let's just see here. So the one that's very small, so the problem with the bigger ones is that the gold edge is going to stick out around the stone. Okay, and that's not a real good look. I mean, unless that's what you want, but in this case, we want the gemstone to stand out. All right, so we're going to make sure that we don't use parts and pieces that are not meant for what we're doing. So in this case, since we have 3 that are too big and 1 that is the correct size, I can actually cut these settings down to accommodate the right size. So instead of a 3.5mm stone, I have a 3. So I am just going to chop out a tiny bit of the setting. And squeeze it down. All right, I'm also going to use a cutting disc to make sure that my sides are nice and straight. measure those. I still have 3.3, so we're going to take a little bit more down. Check that out. There we go. Now I'm to 3. All right, we've got 2 working settings. Let's fix the other ones. Okay, so I'll squeeze that smaller, see what we've got. Take a measure. I need to take away some more. One. Tiny bit more. Perfect. Great. Now we have 4 settings that are the correct size. Okay. I don't know why that's not showing at the bench. That's okay. We'll do this from over here. All right, so the next part of what we're doing is going to be attaching these bezels, or not bezels, I'm sorry, attaching these settings to our pendant. Okay, so that's the next part. We'll find our one that we made flat. Let's see where that one is. Oh, we made none of them flat because we had to cut them all. We'll make this one flat. So I'm going to make this flat, and I'm going to set up all of my soldering, and we'll come back in just a moment.
Spencer and Keen, Fine Jewelry Studio, Embrace, Unique. Spencer and Keen, Fine Jewelry Studio, Embrace, Unique.
Okay. All right, so we took a break for a second. I think that one has to be muted, and you just go into the computer one. Okay, I'm still getting an echo.
Unmute on laptop.
Yeah, it's unmuted. Okay. And I've got the volume all the way down. I don't know.
I think you guys need to turn the volume off on the computer.
It is off. Can you hear me over here? But not over there?
We can hear you now.
Okay. I think we're maybe good now. Are we good? We're good. Okay, cool. All right. So while we were on the break, I also used our laser welder to tack the settings in place on the pendant. It makes it a lot easier for soldering the things in place that are teeny tiny parts. There's lots of different ways to do it, but what we usually do is use the laser welder, and all it does is make a very small bond that is not, in this case, it's just one little tack. So it's not really a permanent bond. I could break the things off very easily, but it will stay together for me to do soldering. All right, so this next part, I am still going to hold it in place. All right, and I'm going to add the flux, clean up a little bit. Because I can't help it. All right, and then I'm going to find the correct solder for what I am working on. So I am going to use 14 karat yellow, and I'm just going to use medium. I've got hard, medium, and easy, and those are just three different temperatures of solder. The hard is the highest melting temperature, then medium, and then easy, and it just allows to do multiple solders in a row. I'm going to cut myself some pieces of solder. I'm going to cut myself a little bit more than I need so that just in case I drop one, I have one ready. All right, this time I'm going to use a tight little flame. And I'm going to start heating up my piece and grab my solder. There's one. Two. Three. and 4. I'm going to flip it over to make sure that my solder went all the way to the back. All right, that looks pretty good. All right, so now I've got all of my settings attached onto my pendant. Okay, let's stir that around. Okay, and I'll give you a little bit of a close-up. We've got all of the pendant settings on there now. All right, so our next step is we're going to clean it up a little bit. And you can see this is starting to actually look like a piece of fine jewelry now. Amazingly enough. All right, so we've got our pendant basically cleaned up. Okay, we've got most any of the extra solder cleaned up. We've got our pendant in its basic form. Okay, and so at this point, we could actually set a couple stones. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to set one of the stones while we're here on the live, and then I'll follow it up with just a picture of the finished pendant at the end at some other date. Okay, so the other part of what I need to check on is let's make sure that I put my gemstones in the right order. So, because that is something that people are usually particular about. And so I'm going to check all of the notes that I have. And I see I've got 2 different places that the gemstones are written down. And so I'm going to say that if they match, that's the order I'm going to put them in. So from top to bottom, I've got the aquamarine, the peridot, the green tourmaline with sapphire at the bottom. All right. And I've got that on my sales ticket. I also have that on the notes. So I've double checked in multiple places. I'm going to say that is the way that it needs to be. that I think that makes sense, right? Okay. Now, if it's not that way, you know, it's still not that big of a deal. If the customer says, if the client says, oh my gosh, they're set in the wrong order, we can always unset the stones and then we can reset them in the correct order. But I'm going to say I've got it written down in 2 different places that that's the order. So I'm going to give that the go ahead. All right, so the next part is setting one stone. We're going to set one stone and we're going to set the sapphire. All right, and the sapphire was supposed to go at the bottom. So let's measure our sapphire. I've got a 3 millimeter nice Ceylon blue sapphire that we're going to be setting in the very bottom of the pendant. And so then I'm going to find a burr that is a 3 millimeter burr for setting. All right, so I've got my caliper here and I'm showing a 3 millimeter burr. And so that looks like it's good. I'm going to go ahead and use that one. Now in this case, I'm setting the stone into one prong, but then also using the bar of the pendant itself to create the other part of the setting. So I'm going to start by burring into the bar itself. Okay. Go on my seat, brush it out, and see how my stone fits. That's pretty good. I'm just going to move my prong out. And then I'm going to clean up on the prong a little bit. All right. There we go. All right, that looks like it fits pretty nicely in there. Going to find, this will help me bend my prong over. All right. And I'm going to finish that up with this little beading tool. Make sure my sapphire isn't wiggly. And that's about it. So I'll show you what that looks like up here. All right, there we go. I've got a sapphire set. All right, so like I said, I'm going to go ahead and finish the rest of these stones. And when the pendant is completely finished, I will end up posting some pictures of the finished piece. Maybe after someone picks it up and it can go to someone. I don't know. We'll see which way we're going to post it. But stay tuned to see what the finished pendant looks like on our Facebook feed, on our Instagram, on our Twitter. We'll follow it up with the finished, shiny, lovely pendant on the chain. You can see how it turned out. And don't forget to tune in next week to see what we're doing. So does anyone have any questions about what we did? I think I was explaining a decent amount. But anyway, it was wonderful to have you all. Thanks for tuning in and seeing what we make here at Spencer & Keene Fine Jewelry. Again, nice, simple family pendant that we're customizing using a customer's gold. So we used his gold, we made a pendant, adding family birthstones customized from our website.
where you can see all sorts of different customizable designs if you can't figure out what you want to make, but you want to make something special. So check us out at spencerandkeen.com, like we've got down below. And don't forget that you can always save lots of money when you bring your own gold and we use your gold to make your design. So tune in next week. We'll see you soon. Thank you so much for tuning in. And this is me saying goodbye. Have a wonderful day.
Spencer and Keen, Fine Jewelry Studio.